You're welcome back. Well, let's now turn our attention to Edo State. It's been about a year now since the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress and former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole, and the current governor of the state, Godwin Obaseki, have been playing the political cat and rat game. The whole drama started brewing in June when some 11 out of 24 members-elect of the State House of Assembly were inaugurated behind closed doors at night. Of course, the speaker also emerged in person of Honorable Frank Okiye, who is reportedly not the anointed candidate of Oshiomhole. The months following this controversy have seen Oshiomhole and Obaseki jabbing at each other. Most recently, we've seen a violent attack believed to have been carried out by political supporters from both sides. Last Saturday, the convoy of Governor Obaseki, who was in the company of the Oba of Lagos, Rilwan Akiolu, was attacked by thugs in front of Oshiomhole's house during a state function. It's been a blame game since then. While the Oshiomhole camp is blaming the deputy governor, Philip Shuaib, the Obaseki camp is firing back accusations on the APC national chairman. Well, all efforts to reconcile the two political gladiators have failed so far, and political observers are implying that this may cost the party victory in the next election, which is just next year. All right, so joining me to discuss this from Abuja is Jide Ojo, who is a political analyst. Mr. Ojo, first of all, let me just ask you, are you surprised by, is it surprising to see what's going on in Edo State, political godfather and godson, in the middle of a controversy?
Only there's no surprise element in what's going on in Edo State. It's not the first time and it won't be the last time. We have seen this happen over and over again between godfathers and godchildren. We have examples from the southeast down to the northwest, down to the south-south. It's happened all over and all over again. I mean, even between Mahmuda Shinkafi and his benefactor, the former governor of Zamfara State, the senator, I've forgotten his name, the one that introduced Sharia in Zamfara, Senator Yerima. From there down to Sullivan Chime and his former godfather, the former governor of Enugu State, that's Ebano, the now Senator Ndabani. All of these are, manifestations of the despicable level of politicking in Nigeria. It's so disheartening that in the 21st century, 20 years of democracy, we still experience this kind of not in my backyard attitude between godfathers and godsons. It is not surprising entirely because it's always not about the people, but about their own personal aggrandizement that many of these altercations and disgruntlement and disaffection happen. If it were to be about the people, the ordinary citizens of their states, I would have been surprised because that is what should be. The fight should be about how to better the lot of the people of their respective states, or even at the federal level where we have seen a fallout between president and their vice president and so on and so forth. So the surprise element will have been if the fight is about the ordinary citizens of the state. But to say that elites are fighting between and among themselves is not altogether surprising for me as a student of politics.
So what would you say, from all we've seen, what would you say is the bone of contention in Edo State specifically?
Only you recall that at the ab initio, it was about the inauguration of the state parliament, the State House of Assembly, where about 4 or 5, after the proclamation sent by Governor Godwin Obaseki, only about 4 or 5 of them were inaugurated at an unholy hour, according to news report, about 9 p.m. 14 others were absent, and that was the genesis of this whole imbroglio, where we were told that the 14 others who presumably were loyal to the national chairman of APC and former governor of Edo State, that's Comrade Oshiomhole, were not informed about the time of inauguration. And only the few who are loyalists of Governor Obaseki had the prior information about what was going to happen. Peradventure, maybe the governor, the sitting governor, Governor Obaseki, has a preferred candidate for speakership of the State House of Assembly. The godfather here, Comrade Oshiomhole, has another person in mind to become the speaker. That at least were the immediate, one of the immediate reasons we are told that led to the fallout. But I think the longer term reason is about 2020 governorship election in Edo State. Recall that Edo happens to be one of the states with off-cycle, off-season governorship election, and the election in Edo State will not be due until next year. And it's all about the plan, the succession plan of 2020. Peradventure, maybe Obaseki has gotten wind that his godfather will not want him back in the saddle, and he wants to retain his seat. He doesn't want to be given an ambode treatment, as it happened in Lagos, where the immediate past governor of Lagos State did not get the re-election ticket of his party. And he wants to consolidate his hold on power, and the godfather wants him changed. So these are part of the intrigues that are playing out. So in one breath is about politics of 2020 re-election bid of Governor Obaseki. In another breath is about the leadership of the State House of Assembly, about who should be the speaker or principal officers of the state. So these are two schools of thought that has come out very strongly. There could as well be other reasons for this blowout. I recall that in the early stages of this conflict, Governor Obaseki granted a press interview where he was quoted as saying, "I cannot be a governor and not be a governor," which then means that there seems to be some attempts to remote control him. And in that interview, he actually lamented that many of the appointments that were made on behalf of Edo State, he never had an input in how those appointments were made, at the federal level, I mean. So you get to hear that a minister or a member of a board or a member of leadership of a ministry, department, or agencies of government at the federal level will be appointed, and the governor, as the sitting governor, as the incumbent, will only be hearing it from third party and possibly from the news media. But I think that was what he was saying.
Sorry to cut you here. If this is all about the 2020 election, don't you think that the APC should at this time be trying to get its act together so that it doesn't at least lose its political grip on Edo State? Because with all of what we've been seeing, don't you think the party may be digging its political grave, for want of a better word now, in that particular state?
My sister, I quite agree with you, but politics is not a linear it's not a linear thing that you say is unidirectional. There are always intrigues ahead of every election. And you saw what happened even in Anambra State between former Governor Peter Obi and the incumbent Governor Willie Obiano, even over the issue of re-election, where the governor that installed Willie Obiano in his first time left the party, ABGA, and defected to PDP. And at the end of the day, campaigned vigorously for the opposition in that last Anambra governorship election. So it's part of what played out in Anambra, that you also see a kind of replication here. So, and like you rightly insinuated, has APC learned its lesson? I would say no. Recall that it is part of the intrigues that made APC to lose Imo State woefully. And today, Imo State, that was the only state in the southeast that APC has in the lead up to 2019 election is now in the hands of PDP. And I will not be surprised if the governor is frustrated out of the party. He either would defect to another party, or he may actually ride against the wind, and maybe he will be lucky to survive. But what has been strange to me really is why the president of the country is standing akimbo and aloof and acting unconcerned about this whole imbroglio. The Oba of Benin went and visited President Muhammadu Buhari early at the beginning of this crisis. What did the president do? He has done nothing to reconcile the godfather and the godson. And ahead of the election now, you will now see them mobilizing state resources to want to retain the state. This is the time to nip the imbroglio, the face-off in the bud. It has, thankfully thus far, there has not been any fatality. But given to what happened last week during the convocation of Edo University, where talks allegedly being sponsored by one of the two parties attacked some very, very important personalities that were part of the visitors to the university. And it's very shame, it's a crying shame that at the end of the day, what we have had week long is buck passing and accusation and counter accusation. The national chairman is accusing the deputy governor of being the one that instigated it. The deputy governor is saying that it's the national chairman of APC that instigated it. But at the end of the day, Edo State is in the news for the wrong reasons. And look at the spate of kidnapping in Edo State today. It's intolerable. It is in Edo State we have had vice chancellors kidnapped. It is in Edo State we have had even a sitting court of appeal justice kidnapped. She's just to be rescued. The bar in Edo and Imo State are on strike as a result of the kidnapping of that woman. Now, this is what the governor ought to concentrate all attention on, how to improve security of lives and property in Edo State.
But that might even be hard for him to
internal
do, because
bickering with his godfather.
To be a form of synergy between the legislature and the executive in that state. So these are the issues.
I don't think so. Right now, as we speak, Governor Obaseki has had his way. He has not issued another fresh proclamation. Only 5 members of the State House of Assembly is sitting and passing laws and signing them. So there is synergy, at least as of today, between the executive and legislative arm. You may say it's not an ideal situation, because similar event took place in Bauchi State, if you recall, in May, after the inauguration. Some members of the Bauchi State House of Assembly were also sold a dummy. They did not know the time for the inauguration, or they were wrongfully informed about the time for the inauguration. At the end of the day, when they got there, the inauguration had already taken place, and those ones belonging to another camp had to go before the maize statue in front of the State House of Assembly to take their oath of office, which added another laughable and ludicrous dimension to party politics and governance in Nigeria. So I think for me, we are in a state of ANOMY in Edo State. Edo is in a state of ANOMY. It's in a state of suspended animation. And this should not be allowed to sustain. As it is, like I pointed out, governance is suffering in Edo State. The governor is crying, is running helter-skelter. Nobody seems to be listening. I would have thought, at the early stage of this crisis, when some of the National Assembly members from Edo State instigated and wanted the National Assembly to take over the responsibility of Edo State of Assembly, I would have thought that what they would have wanted to do, or what they should have done, was to resolve the issue. But maybe because they are looking at the long-term interest of some of them, that at the end of the day, if they want to recontest election, the signature of the national chairman of the party on their nomination form is very key for their nomination to sail through. So Many of them cannot speak out about whatever attempt. I'm portioning blame here, but both camps have come out very strongly. Oshiomhole has said he has never made any appointment. He is not contesting an election. All he is doing is in the interest of Edo people. Obaseki has come out to say, look, I'm being terrorized even as a sitting governor. Recall what I told you earlier, that he said, I cannot be a governor and not be a governor. That his head is being shaped in his absence. That many of the appointments made at the federal level did not have his input, and he felt slighted. So this issue is more or less maybe about ego, about due process, about 2020 election, about power retention and power sharing. But they are not insolvable. They can be resolved if people of goodwill can come together and find a lasting peace. It's normal to have conflict in politics. Politics is never devoid of conflict. But it is the elders of the party, the BOT, that should have come together to reconcile them.
And speaking of resolution, the court has stopped the Senate from taking over activities of the Edo Assembly. So all of these, how do you see this? How do you think this will end?
I wish I know. I'm not Nostradamus that saw tomorrow. The only man that saw tomorrow beyond God is Nostradamus of France. I will not know how it will end, because now many cases are in court, litigations upon litigations, but we all know the implication of having suit filed. Look at what happened in Edo, in the Kogi State House of Assembly, between Kogi State governor and his deputy. We are even caught, a panel that was set up who did not find the former deputy governor guilty. In spite of that pronouncement that the man was not guilty and they cannot find him culpable, the State House of Assembly still went ahead and impeached the deputy governor. That is the anarchy, that is the kind of politics we play in Nigeria. Politics of underdevelopment, not developmental politics. And I'm dare say, back to issue in Edo State, if care is not taken, the spillover effect of what is going on in Edo will be bloody. Right now, there are yet to be fatality, but I pray it doesn't get to that level where lives will be lost. Like I said, indirectly lives are being lost because of the state of insecurity in that state. But at least, as a fallout of this the political shenanigans between the Godfather and Godson, we may not have had direct fatality. But what I want APC to know is that as of today, the only state under their control in South-South, out of the 6 of the South-South, is Edo. And if they are not careful, if they don't find a lasting peaceful resolution to this conflict, they may lose Edo like they did lose Imo in the last general election. So it is in the interest of the board of trustees of APC, it is in the interest of the president of Nigeria to call the fielding parties together and find an amicable resolution to this whole conflict. Otherwise, if they continue to play the ostrich and feel that, look, it's an internal affairs of Edo State, the day there will be a spillover to other states, we may be caught napping. So I think the best way out is a political solution to this whole crisis. You cannot resolve this legally. If at all you want to do that, the case will be protracted. It may even get to Supreme Court before it's eventually resolved. So the fastest way to resolve this crisis is by going political, adopting a political solution to the problem. That is the fastest and the best way and more enduring way to resolve this whole crisis.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ojo, for sharing your thoughts with us on this topic. Well, that's it on this episode of the program. Thank you very much for watching, but you can catch previous episodes on our YouTube channel at TV360 Nigeria. Across all social media platforms, it's TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, it's TV360 Online. Many thanks for watching. See you again next time.